COVID has crushed my property dreams. Help. So you may be thinking, well, this is a bit relevant now considering the current situation, but actually no, it's really not. And if you're somebody that feels like, your property dreams or aspirations are done out here, then this video is for you, because they certainly are not. Right, COVID-19. A subject you probably don't want to hear any more about because you're probably already tired of hearing about it, all the ongoing and everything that's preventing us from doing it at this point in time. But let's get real. If you were somebody that was looking to get onto the property ladder, or you were quite close to just about purchasing something and going out there and starting to look, this is definitely going to put a halt to your plans. But today I want to bring some light to the end of the tunnel, because this does not mean that your property dreams and aspirations are done, okay? It just means you need to find a new strategy to go about it. So I'm briefly just going to outline some of the things that COVID-19 is putting a stop to, which will some way delay the plans that you had or stop you from doing certain things at this point in time, or perhaps alter the way that you would have gone about doing it. So the number one thing that COVID is stopping us from doing at this point in time in terms of our property journeys is going out on physical viewings. Right, so obviously because of the whole social distancing and regulations put in place, obviously you can't go about visiting. That includes potential properties that you may be interested in buying. The fortunate thing is that, however, a lot of estate agents are now doing virtual viewings or like video walkthroughs, whereby they already have recordings of them going through the properties, like showing you about and talking about the different selling points of the house itself. Unfortunately, there are a lot of estate agents that do not yet have this in place. This is why this is the number one thing that I'm going to say, which will probably hold back your property plans just a little bit. The second thing is that mortgage lending has been paused by a great number of lenders and banks, and if not paused, a lot of their products have been taken off the market. So that means you may now require a higher deposit in order to purchase a property, because now a lot of banks, rather than lending you perhaps 80%, they're now only looking at lending 60%. So naturally your costs of buying a property have increased, so you're going to need to be able to save a lot more and perhaps wait a bit longer before you are ready to buy. Now ultimately, the reason why a lot of mortgage products have been removed, or some banks have stopped lending altogether, because they're trying to focus on servicing their current clients. Obviously a lot of people at this time will have to go on mortgage holidays, whereby they won't be paying their mortgage for about 3 months. So naturally they're not going to go and loan out more money when current customers may not even be able to pay back. They're also obviously going to be looking at your affordability. So obviously with COVID there have been a lot of redundancies. There are now a lot of people on furlough, including myself. So if you're on furlough, for example, you're now only getting 80% of your salary, and that's up to £2,500 per month. So obviously that's going to affect how much you are able to borrow compared to maybe what you could have afforded to borrow previously. So these are all the things that banks and lenders are taking into consideration. How likely you are going to be able to afford payments now considering the current situation. The third thing that COVID is currently putting a pause to is property surveying and valuation. So obviously again, with the social distancing in place and other regulations, you can't expect that surveyors are going to be able to come in and inspect a property that you're potentially looking to buy. It's just not going to happen. They are not key workers, and therefore they are not able to work at this point in time. There may be some able to do this online or virtually, so this is something you should definitely look into if you are keen on a property and want to make sure that this doesn't get taken off the market by somebody else. Right, so now that we've looked at some of the things that COVID is stopping us from doing at this point in time in terms of pursuing our property dreams, now I'm going to talk about some of the things that we should be focusing our eyes on to put ourselves in a better position for when the situation does improve and we can push on. Right, so because of COVID, a lot of properties have reduced in price just because there's so much uncertainty. People that put up their properties previously before this situation have had to reduce in price because they know that a lot of people's salaries and finances have been impacted, and therefore they're going to have to reduce the prices that they're putting up their houses for in order to get potential buyers at this time. So what does this mean for you? This means that you can potentially get onto the property ladder for less, or you may be able to get a bigger or better property for a less price. So in a way, this is definitely a positive of the current situation at hand. The second thing you should be doing is focusing on continuing to save. So save a bit more. You may have reached a point where you'd saved enough for that property that you wanted to buy, but actually maybe now you can focus on getting something better, something bigger, more rooms potentially, another lounge area. The possibilities are endless, and this is just because COVID has meant that we have a lot of reductions in property prices across the whole market. So how can this work in your favor? Number 3 thing that you should be doing, create a list of all the properties that you would like to view after this whole situation improves. So obviously you can't go to physical viewings, but how about creating a list, a short list of everything that you're interested in, all those properties that catch your eye and you definitely want to view, so that when it comes to the time that you are able to go to physical viewings, you have a list ready that you can get onto those estate agents about and ensure that you've got your viewings booked in ASAP, so that you are in a position to place an offer earlier than others if you are interested in the property. This way you're getting ahead. Also, as I mentioned earlier, if you do want to act now on a potential property that you have seen but you don't want to wait around, you can also try and see if they have virtual viewings available for you. Number 4, initiate the mortgage process. So although some banks and lenders are not accepting applications at this time, there are still some that are, and although the process may take longer, this doesn't mean that you can't start off your application. Get through all the paperwork that you need to do on your side to make sure that you're in a better position for when they are processing applications at a normal rate. For those banks and lenders that aren't currently accepting any applications, it doesn't mean again that you can't initiate this process. Submit all the details that are needed on your side so that when they start to review applications again, yours is towards the top of their list and you're just waiting for them to act rather than them waiting on you for any additional documentation or paperwork. Number 5, get on to mortgage brokers and advisors. The mortgage brokers are still currently working, so you want to make sure that you utilize them, okay? Get into contact with them, speak to them, find out which lenders or banks are still willing to lend to you for your personal circumstance, whether that be you're somebody that has now been made redundant or you're somebody that's now on furlough. If there are any additional requirements because of COVID, find out what that means for you in your situation. How much will lenders now be able to offer you versus then when maybe you were on your full salary rather than now when you are only getting 80% or up to £2,500. So guys, those are the 5 things that I believe that we should be focusing our attention on at this time. Let's not become disheartened or discouraged because COVID-19 has meant that we can't action certain things that we may have wanted to do in the next couple weeks or months. There is some good coming out of this situation, and I just think that we need to focus on those good things and start acting. Get ourselves in a better position for when things do improve and when this whole situation sort of loosens up in terms of the whole social distancing measures. So anyway, I hope you guys have found this video useful. If you have done, please do give it a massive thumbs up. If you do have any questions or comments or feel like there's anything else that we could be focusing on to make sure that when COVID does pass on, we are in a better position in terms of our property plans and aspirations, please do also drop them down in the comment section. I would love to know what these are. Thank you for watching and I'll catch you next week. Bye.